Actually, it was kind of a good thing I had to stop on the last video because I'm not ready to sew these together. I forgot to do my top stitching. So I'm going to take them back apart, and I'm going to do my top stitching on my front, which is this piece right here. And how am I going to do my top stitching? I'm going to do these 2 lines of stitching that come down. And the reason I'm doing it now is because I don't want my back stitches to show. And when you look at these stitching on here, none of the back stitching shows because they're either underneath your vinyl or they've been sewn prior to you turning your piece inside out. Okay, so how am I going to do my top stitching? Well, what I did is I created a template that I'm going to put on my shoe. I'm going to pin it down, and then I am going to sew a line of stitching right on that right in that edge between the paper and the fabric. So I'm going to center my machine right in the center, put my needle in the center, and I'm going to line up my pressure foot and my needle so that it'll go right. I'm right in the edge there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I've got my paper lined up on the side of, and my needle is right next to that paper. So I'm going to do a couple back stitches. Okay, and now I'm going to just keep sewing all the way along that piece of paper. And if you happen to catch a paper, don't worry, it'll just come right off. Okay, a couple back stitches. Go forward and take it off. Okay, so you've just done your first line of top stitches. Now the next line of top stitches I'm going to do is going to be 1/8 of an inch on the inside of this one. So I'm going to do this other side first, and then I'll do the inside row after I finish this side. So I'm using the same exact template, only this time I'm turning it upside down. I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to do the same exact thing on this side. You don't really have to do this first. You can do it after you sew your pieces together, but you won't have a nice finish, and you'll be able to see your stitches. And this way all your back stitching will be underneath, and you won't even see it, so you'll have a much nicer finish. Okay, so I've got both of my sides done, so now I'm going to do another stitch, and I'm going to use this, I'm going to follow this seam as this line of stitching as my guide. So let's see how that's going to work. I'm going to put this line of stitching right in between my dead center on my pressure foot, and I'm going to change my needle position over so it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the other side, and that's it. So I'm going to just follow that and keep that line seam right in the middle of my pressure foot. Now if I would have been thinking when I made these shoes, I probably would have done this stitching in white so it really shows up like the black tennis shoes I did. I don't even know where they are. Oh, here they are. Yeah, I would have done it in, I used the same blue as I did on the inside, and you can hardly see the stitching. So what I should have done was done a white or even a silver top stitching to give you that nice top stitching look. But I didn't, so I used what I got. Okay, so let me finish this one off. Got all my top stitching done. Now I'm ready to sew my two pieces together. I don't know if you can see it or not. You can see it from this side. I've got 2 lines of top stitching there, 2 lines here, and there's my front. So now I'm going to take this piece and sew. I'm going to leave the bottom open, and I'm going to sew up around here all the way around, except the bottom. Okay. And this is going to be 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to center my needle. And you're working with curves, so you're going to have to move your and then when you get to the this edge right here, you could either try and do a smooth finish, make a smooth curve. So you want to try and ease that curve in a little bit. Now if you went too far up on the top, just do 1 back stitch, and that'll get you back into where it should be. That was right the first time. Okay, so then good enough. Alright, so this is where we're at. I've got my seam all the way around the outside except the bottom. Okay, so where the same thing applies here as applied to the tongue, we're going to have to trim our corners, make a little clip, and we're going to, anytime we have a curve, we're going to have to cut some little notches or little slits, whatever you want to call them. They look good, so I'm going to do this. Just so it lies flat. Try not to cut any stitches. If you do accidentally cut your stitches, just go back and sew over it. You might have to go in a little bit, but if it's just a little bit, it won't matter. And I just do a couple on the top. Okay. Got that all turned. Okay, now let's just turn it inside out. Same thing, take a knitting needle or your scissors, whatever you've got, to get these points to lay flat, to come out. Okay, so if it doesn't lay flat, it could be because you didn't trim your edges good enough, or trim your curves good enough. Okay, and once you've got that, you're going to top stitch all the way around. You're going to do 2 top stitches, same like I did. The first one's going to be 1/4 of an inch, and the second one's going to be 1/8 of an inch. So you're going to have 2 seams all the way around. And then you're going to actually sew across the bottom 1/8 of an inch, so you can make it easy on yourself when you turn it under and glue it. Okay, so that's going to be shoe 2, and since I'm running out of time, I'm going to do the sewing this when we get back, and also sewing this top piece of vinyl when we get back, and I'm going to show you how to put in your eyelets. But I still have a couple minutes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Remember when we did that, we went down 1/4 of an inch on here, 1 1/4 inches, and we made a little mark across the top of our, we went down 1 1/4 inches. And we made our little mark across, but that was prior to our seam allowance. So now we're going to put back our 1/4 of an inch on each side, so we're going to go down like 1 inch, and then we're going to be able to use that inch line to line up our tongue so it will lay flat. And then when we get back, I'll glue this on while we finish up the top of the. Okay, so go down 1 inch, because we already lost 1/4 of an inch on each side. Draw a line across, and that's exactly where you're going to glue your tongue on the back of your base, inside sew. Okay, we'll be back in a little bit.